By the end of the 21st century, global warming is likely to cause an increase in Earth's temperature of around 2 to 5 degrees centigrade. But this doesn't necessarily mean things will just get hotter. Most places will simply see more erratic and extreme weather. That could mean heavier rainfall, more snow, longer periods of drought, more storms and hurricanes, and more heat waves. This could be very dramatic. There will be heavy storm damage to people's homes, and we could lose large coastal areas to rising seas. Floods are likely to affect some countries, but others will suffer severe droughts. Some predict flooding could make around 100 to 200 million people permanently homeless by 2100. Some predictions say climate change could make 30 to 40% of the world's species extinct.
Mom, do you think this is true?
Read some more, see what happens next.
Indonesia is starting to develop ways to stop this happening. You can see things changing everywhere, including travel and tourism. Even with this aircraft that you're sitting in. Listen to the Indonesian airline story.
The aviation is only, I have to say, only produce not more than 2% of the mankind emission right now, recently. But we still need to manage all of the 2% to be better or reduce for the emission. We have to work together. So we have make our fuel as efficient as possible for the operation.
What we see is in Indonesia, there are not a lot of companies, especially in aviation or transportation, that are looking at low carbon strategy. And we always, it's a very competitive industry, and we always like to find strategies that differentiate ourselves from the rest of the pack.
There is several initiative or action that we can do. For example, number one is try as much as possible to using the auxiliary power unit on the ground. So we put it the ground, our external power unit coming from the ground handling, put it into the aircraft power to avoid using the jet fuel. The aircraft is always carry what we call potable water. It is quite huge of water, heavy. So we generally will calculate what is the expectation passenger under or within the reservation system, and then if, for example, the passenger is half from the aircraft, we carry half of water. So we reduce the weight of the aircraft, and for the effect of that, we also reduce the fuel burn of the aircraft. We have a reforestation project with WWF Indonesia. There were like burning forests in the Borneo. It's quite huge, more than 500,000 hectares square. We need a responsible, authorized department to set up the regulation how to certify many green projects I know in Indonesia. So far it's very, very limited green project in Indonesia has been certified with CER.
The government could probably be more proactive in promoting such investments into low carbon initiatives by providing tax incentives for companies to do so. This would facilitate companies making such an investment. But it could also provide perhaps some infrastructure that would allow us to make such investments easier.
People who own the taxi you're riding in are very concerned about climate change. They are the Bluebird Group. one of the biggest taxi companies in the world. Meet the woman who is in charge of changing the way they operate to help the planet.
So we were actually the first company who imported CNG from New Zealand late 80s. So we started thinking about this in late 80s. But the biggest problem we had on that time was the infrastructure. It was very much more expensive to build the CNG filling station compared to the normal petrol station. So we're actually looking into different possibilities. We're looking into hybrid, for example, but the hybrid is still very expensive. And if you don't get the tax compensation for getting the hybrid in and use it as a public taxi, then it's going to be very difficult for us. It's 5,000 rupiah for flagfall, right? It's 50 cents. So investment-wise, it doesn't make sense unless we got tax benefit for it. And for the other alternative solution for the petrol, like the CNG and things, if the government can put a really good infrastructure and continuous supply, then we're ready to do that. We have 19,000 vehicles, and every night we have to wash them. So a lot of water are needed. So that's why we're looking into a system which we have implemented in our pilot depots to recycle the water that we use to wash the cars. We need to do more work to help our driver to understand the importance of saving this environment and what's going on in the world. Because I think for the limited knowledge that our drivers have, I don't think they think about these things as much as we want them to. It's as simple as when you press your brake, when do you change your gear, or when do you press all of those things. And that resulted, especially during the economic crisis, we have managed to prove that doing these trainings help us in reducing the cost. Petrol is about 20 to 25% cost from our revenue. So if we can reduce, that's what we've been trying to do, the cost of the petrol itself, then of course we can increase our profit. But then again, if the investment to buy the type of car, for example, like hybrid, the one that I mentioned, is much more expensive, then it would reduce our profit again. So yes, petrol is one of the ways. And another way is the spare parts. By doing a really good maintenance, we can also manage the cost of our spare parts. And that indirectly helps the environment also.